Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Friday the 13th, A New Beginning from 1985, directed by Steinmann, and of course the fifth film in the Friday the 13th franchise. So yes, we are back once again to discuss Friday the 13th, this time around the fifth entry. So quite a few films into the series now, and we just reviewed the fourth film, and yeah, I said in that one it would be an end of an era really, and going forward the films were quite different, and you know, taking the series in new directions and all this, and yeah, this is one of those films that's very, very different, very wacky film, and you know, I have a few things to say about this one today. But before we get into the video, there will be a spoiler warning for this video. If you haven't seen this film, I simply recommend seeing it first and then come back to this video, and we can go from there. We can talk about this from the comments and all things Friday the 13th. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on this film, and I have a few things to say about this one today. You know, I saw it again last night for the you know, second time. You know, I've seen this film. I'd never seen this as a kid growing up. It was a few years ago that I saw, you know, these ones onwards, you know, 5 onwards, you know, for the first time actually, excluding Freddy vs. Jason. You know, I saw that one when I was really, really young. But yeah, seeing this again, you know, there's definitely some things I'm reminded of, you know, that I do appreciate about the film. You know, I do like the locations and just some of the feel of the film, and you know, I think a couple of the characters, including Reggie, you know, I think I do really like in this film. But you know, overall, once again, reminded of how much, you know, I think this is very disappointing, really, as a sequel and as a follow-up to, you know, of sorts, the fourth entry, and building upon that, and you know, seeing Tommy Jarvis return. You know, I think in this film it is very underwhelming overall, and you know, I just think the potential was fairly high. You know, this is not one of the films that, you know, on paper is, I guess, one of the films with the most potential in the franchise, but it did have somewhat of potential, and it could have been done well. You know, seeing Tommy, you know, kind of 5 years on apparently, and you know, kind of in this film, and you know, seeing how he's dealing with, you know, his past, and you have Jason in the events of the fourth film, and you know, also just interesting things that they could have done with this film, and the batch of characters, and just, you know, some of the twists and turns that happened later in the film. You know, it was, for me, you know, pretty poorly done, but you know, it could have been done well, and you know, I just think overall, you know, there's enjoyable sequences, moments, characters here and there, and you know, just aspects to this film. But seeing it again, it was a bit of a slog, and I think there's just some, you know, pretty bad moments in this film, and you know, I think even in the first 10 minutes we have this awful, you know, kind of character in this film, and you know, getting killed off, you know, in a really bad way for me, and it was just, you know, it wasn't the best of starts to the film. It starts to pick up a bit, you know, as we go on, and then the final act has definitely some, you know, cool moments with Jason in this film, but as we know, it's not actually Jason as we know it, and it was just, you know, someone in disguise. We'll get to that, but yeah, this film overall just it has a lot, you know, a lot of things that could have been, you know, better in this one, and it just kind of disappoints in all of the acts in some way really, and you know, I think overall it does kind of amount to generally more a mediocre effort, you know, in the franchise, and that's a shame, because it could have been good, and it could have been a nice follow up to, you know, for me, at least one of the pinnacles of the franchise, being the fourth film, and it's a real shame. We do have, you know, Feldman, you know, at the beginning, you know, in this kind of prologue sequence, it's just kind of a nightmare, and that's to kind of set the stage, you know, for the film. You know, Tommy, 5 years on, has been having nightmares, you know, all this time, and he's been basically, yeah, he can't get over the you know, the effects of, you know, what's happened in the fourth film with Jason, and all the killings and all this, and him actually killing Jason in that film, and yes, something that does deal with that, attempts to deal with this, you know, of course, and he's sent to this halfway house after that, and you know, we see him getting, you know, driven to this halfway house, you know, in the middle of the woods, obviously near Camp Crystal Lake, and yes, the rest of the film is, you know, in a sense with Tommy, it's him, yeah, they attempt to kind of see how he's dealing with this, and how he can interact with other people, and all this kind of stuff, and just, you know, a different batch of characters that are kind of in the similar situations, you know, in that sense. So yeah, it's again potential to the setup, you know, and some of it was done fairly well, you know, in places, but you know, it just, as we go on, it becomes pretty clear this one isn't just not. There's not as much, you know, just for me, you know, effort put into this, and it just, a lot of the time, the kills as well, you know, we don't really see in detail too much of the kills at all, and when they are done, some of them are not, you know, are a bit shoddy. In terms of characters in this film, you know, we have a few that I like. Reggie, Shavar Ross playing Reggie, and you know, he's really the standout. You know, he acts better than the rest of the characters in the film, and you know, he's just got more charisma, more energy, you know, and he's just definitely the best character in the film, Reggie, and also Melanie Kinnaman as well as Pam. You know, Pam is basically one of the leaders of this group, you know, of course, of these teenagers, and yeah, essentially these are the two main characters that I kind of enjoyed. You know, we do have obviously Joey as well, he's kind of at first, now this is one of the characters that this kind of set the tone of the film really. Joey is just someone who's made to be, quite irritating to the other characters, and basically one of the gimmicks is, he eats chocolate, and he's got chocolate all around his mouth, and he's got it all over his hands. He's squeezing the chocolate, holding it really tightly, so it's going everywhere, all over him, and then some of the girls in the group, he kind of messes up the laundry with the chocolate, and goes over to kind of pester this guy chopping wood, and with the chocolate again. So it's all just, he's obsessed with chocolate, and he's, none of the characters really like him because of this, and I couldn't actually remember, how this happened, but he does get killed very early on, after that, and basically annoying that guy who's chopping wood, and he gets killed in that moment by that guy. So and he puts the chocolate on the wood where the guy was cutting, and he chops the chocolate in half. That was funny. But it basically gets killed as he walks off, and that is something that sets the tone of the film. Later on, as we know, this is the reason for someone actually pretending to be Jason throughout the film. His father, one of the paramedics, and just a little tacked on kind of backstory there at the end with the reveal. But that reveal for me was so bad, and that twist, of who Jason actually was, and it doesn't really match up obviously the stature and the build of the guy, kind of with the actual Jason in this film, and also just for me that was just a really cheap reveal, and I didn't like that at all. How we don't actually have Jason in this film is quite interesting, because they were going to be kind of potentially setting up a new trilogy, in this with this film obviously. And this being the first of 3 where we have a different killer each time, and not actually Jason. And luckily that was not the case. They did change that going forward. But bizarre film, this one, where we don't actually have Jason, and it's obviously the father of Joey kind of getting revenge, and going insane from this event, of Joey being killed, in this kind of group, and that is just really bizarre. And that whole character though there, Joey, was it was just laughable really, and just quite pathetic, where it was portrayed, I think very one note, quite silly really, and it was just so on the nose, and just it was made to be so irritating to the characters, and then really treating him badly, and then he gets killed, so it's just, I didn't really like the way that was done at all, and there's a couple of funny moments, but really it was just pretty bad, that kind of moment, and then as I say, that sets up the kind of arc, of this, and it doesn't really, we can't really tell this until the final act, and that final moment, the reveal. So it's kind of out of nowhere, really, when you first see this film. It's not really any clues other than you could say, oh, it's strange how someone was killed, not by Jason at first, and then you can kind of piece together that paramedic, of course, gives some strange looks, but that's nothing to go by. A lot of the characters in these films, give strange looks. They haven't done anything wrong, of course, and so it's very strange. This film, just the way that was done. Tommy himself in this film, played by John Shepherd, as the main bulk of the film, as a teenager, I think I just wasn't a fan personally of the way that, Tommy's arc, was done, the way it was set up, it could have been, there was some intrigue there, some things that I thought, we'll see where it goes, particularly the first time round, but, I think just the way it went throughout the film was just too one note, it was quite pathetic. I didn't enjoy really at all the character of Tommy Jarvis in this. Obviously we have Corey Feldman at the beginning, and it's a shame, because just the comparison there, it's just, and it just kind of makes you think back to the 4th film with how, just at least for me, how well portrayed Tommy was in that film, and how engaging he was, and just the way that the arc was set up. Some bizarre moments in the end of the film, in that one, but I guess throughout most of the film, I did really like that character, and I really wanted to see where it would go in this film, and just very underwhelming stuff, and just one note performance, quite irritating, kind of character, just the way they were kind of doing this, and the way they were approaching the characters, just very one note, and I think really just stupid in places, the things he does, and one of the only good things is that he can, for some reason, fight very well, and he does all these kind of throwing characters around and all this, and it's quite funny. It doesn't really come in handy, in the final act, with Jason, in this. But I think it leads for some, bizarre, funny moments throughout the film where characters are, annoying him, and just, he then turns on them and beats them up. And one of the, the characters, the biker, of course, and his mum in the film, who are basically these insane characters. The house, one of the houses around the place, and she just, the mum in this film, as well, she just swears, kind of out of nowhere, these characters, and obviously a conflict, a kind of a bit of opposition to the actual group, and this whole kind of this place being based here, and she doesn't want it, to kind of go on, and she is just one of the characters who throughout the film is against this, and you see her and her son throughout the film, and she's cooking food for him and all this, and I think actually that was some of the stuff that was so bad it's good, kind of thing in this film, and I definitely found her funny, when she's interacting with some of the group and she just swears at them, just some of the things she comes out with. It was quite funny, I'll give it that, and it's just a kind of at one point I got kind of a little bit invested in this, but then later in the film we've got the son just riding around outside the house and going around. He's just literally screaming on loop, and just driving around there for 2 minutes really, and it seems like, what is this scene? It was one of the worst scenes in the entire franchise, and after that of course he just gets killed, and because a character being annoying and just on the nose, just screaming and being noisy leads to them being killed, and I don't really see the point in this, the way it was done. I think there could have been at least more done with these characters, involvement in with Jason in the final act, that was a bit more satisfying, and because they were in the film throughout most of it. But that's one of the things about this film, characters are really just there to be killed, and I think when we get to a lot of the kills in this, it just kind of cuts away, and it's just not very well done at all, actually. Very satisfying. There's a couple of kills, I think the way in which Jason does fall onto the spikes in the final act of the film, off the roof of the barn there, I think that was well done, and some of those parts in the final act were fine. They were quite good, but I think most of the film in this, just the kills are not well done. As I say, there's the one with the kind of belt, that was good. The tree, that character there, but other than that, I wasn't engaged by the kills, so that was a shame, because the characters for the most part are not that enjoyable, and then when they do get picked off, as a slasher film, this is not, it's not, certainly not one of the best. I think a lot of the kills were underwhelming, and just not really anything to them, and there was not enough really to keep me engaged throughout, in that sense, and I think Reggie, it's just Shavar Ross again, I do really like this performance. He's really, really good in this film, and I think the bit where he kind of goes with Pam, she takes him to meet his older brother, in this van at night, randomly, in just this random location, and goes into the van with Pam, and they just kind of talk for a bit, and the brother's got his girlfriend as well there, and they're just kind of hanging out. That was such a bizarre moment, when I think about it, and just I did enjoy the character there as well, the brother, until they kind of both of them started singing when he's doing his business, in the toilet there, and just what a bizarre sequence that was. It's just the remark, from his girlfriend about how he'll feel better once, all of this. Just why was that line in the film? That was just so bizarre, and I just burst into laughter there, and then the toilet starts shaking, and all this, that whole kind of moment there, that was so bizarre, and the bit before that, where they were singing, that was just so out of tone, and I find that with the film, there's a lot of off-tone moments, moments that kind of take you out of the film. Some of it is just so bad it's good kind of thing, and it's kind of just enjoyable because of how wacky and bizarre it is. But for the most part, it doesn't really feel like a Friday the 13th film, in places, and it's just definitely one of the most bizarre films in the franchise. It's not an awful film. Some of the things have grown on me. Aspects of the film, seeing it again, for a second time. But I think, definitely not one of the best films of the franchise, and very disappointing coming off of the fourth film. And it's got a lot of things that could have been quite good. Some potential here, some moments that are quite interesting, but they never really go anywhere. Tommy is kind of, he takes disappearances, throughout the film. Kind of goes off and at random points, and it's meant to be about him and his struggle, and seeing where he is 5 years on, and just it's not a very focused film in that sense. It's quite random. That's one of the things that it just, in the end, I don't really enjoy this film overall, because it is random. It's not really something I can consistently get immersed in, and where they do kind of set up some things, kind of interesting with the group as well. They're sitting down, to eat, and then Tommy comes in. That then just goes nowhere, and you've just got quite a silly moment with him here, beating up a character there, and it's just whether it kind of starts off kind of interesting in different moments, it kind of goes nowhere, and you've got characters that are introduced, in this group, of teenagers, and then, when they're about to get killed, you're thinking, or at least I am, wow, they weren't really in the film, or they were just kind of in the background, and then now they're getting killed off, and one of the characters just kind of doing a 2-minute robotic dance scene, and then she just gets killed again in an unsatisfying way. So, what is this film at times? Just I was just thinking, characters, they were set up and they were never really developed throughout the film. They just get killed off. So it's one of those, and I just think bizarre film, really bizarre, and that whole kind of moment where the biker is kind of the son is riding around, in the garden there and stuff on his bike. That was just one of the most bizarre things that I've seen in this franchise, and overall I enjoy elements of this film. I think Reggie, Pam, were good throughout. Reggie especially, really enjoyed this character, and his granddad as well in the film. Liked that element of the film. It was quite warm and charming, and his brother as well, and I think definitely a standout character. Most of the other characters are just kind of there, and they're quite irritating, and that's my thoughts, on that. And I think the kills, again, most of them are very underwhelming. You've got some good cinematography in this film. Some, things that are quite interesting here and there. But overall, it is a mediocre film, and for me, my rating for this is a 51%. So not a high score for me. Unfortunately, quite a low one, and again, not an awful film, but it is an underwhelming one, and doesn't match up to the quality of different films in the franchise. Compared to 4, this is very, very underwhelming, and it's a shame that they've kind of done this for the character of Tommy. Very one note. Nothing is satisfying in this film for him. I think Jason as well. Where they kind of revealed, that he's the paramedic, kind of the father of Joey. That was just a really, really cheap reveal there, and I did hate that kind of moment, and just cheaply done. Joey in the first 10 minutes, he's annoying to the characters. He's kind of eating chocolate, got it all around his mouth, and then he gets killed off. That was just stupid to me, really, and I just think it wasn't that big on the way that was done, in this film, and obviously it's because obviously it sets up the actual killer of this film, of pretending to be Jason, and it's just a really shoddy film, overall, and I think just Jason, the way that he was done, in this one, just really wasn't personally for my liking. And in the majority of the film, we've got Tom Morga playing Jason, and obviously John Hock, kind of standing in, a couple of sequences, kind of thing there. So I think, but the way Jason was portrayed, until the the final act, it was definitely a presence at times, but I just think the whole reveal and the way in which things go down in the final act, and the fact that it wasn't actually truly Jason, I really, really hate that aspect of this film, and it's just as well, some things were not, it's not as atmospheric. It definitely lacks, kind of a sense of dread and tension even at times, and it's just it definitely falls short in that sense. Even though Jason is in this film, and at times he's menacing and stuff in the presence, I just think it wasn't as well done as a lot of the films in the franchise. That's my thoughts on this film. What do you think? It'd be great to hear, your thoughts on this, your take on it. How would you compare this film personally, to other films in the franchise? And what is your experience with this film? During this month, the final film that I'll be talking about in the franchise will be the sixth entry, of course. So yes, that'll be one that I look forward to discussing. Of course, Jason Lives. It's a film I do have a lot more positive things to say about than this film. But it's been really cool to discuss this film so far on the channel. I've been really enjoying this, and it'd be great to hear your thoughts today on this film and all things Friday the 13th. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.